Hi everyone. Well, today I'm going to show you how I've made this wallet, and it's rather lovely because it's made of cardboard but it looks like leather. Now, I got the idea from Dawn the Book Vandal on her YouTube. She did a 3-part video of it. So I'll put the link below. You can go and see her expert take on how she achieved hers, and it's given me brilliant instruction on making this. So there are lots of ways, if you look on the on YouTube, on how to make the cardboard look, the leather look on cardboard. But I'll just show you how I achieved it. So inside I've got the little booklet that I've made, and some tags in here, and I put this fabric inside just to make it firmer, but you could use paper, and I think it looks rather attractive with that on the front, and then with a big bow to close it. The little booklet I made to go inside. This paper is available on our Etsy shop if you want to download it. And then I've just added some papers inside here. I've got some rather nice tea stained papers. They came out really beautiful. And then some floral pages from a book I have, but these really complement it. They look like flowers. And then I just stitched this paper together and added a bit more decoration there, so that goes rather nicely. And then it just pops in there, and this is all stitched in, and I say there's a little pocket here. So I'm just going to run through how I made mine. Okay, measurements. Now mine measures about 4 inches, and then this middle section is about 4 3/4, and this is about 4 1/4. So I'll put the measurements on screen or down below, so that, but you can really adapt it to how you want it. You can have it half of this size, slimmer or larger, but I'll show you the boxes I used. Now I think I've got just our little dog's food, but Nick had a soda can box, and it was ideal because it was almost exact measurements, but I had to adapt because this isn't, when I lay it out, this section here is too small. So I'm just going to cut up this edge, and I'll show you what I mean. I'll spare you the cutting though, I'll be back. So I've cut the box up this edge, and I've left this seam, because I could have just split it and opened it up there, but that leaving this seam is rather a nice feature on the finished product because it gives that sort of edge, and then I've stitched all along there. Just makes it look a little bit more like a piece of leather. But the measurements don't work out, so you know, this is only 3, so if you wanted to put your notebook in there, it'd be a tiny piece. So what I've had to do is have 2 boxes, and then I've stuck one of these edges on to about here, and made 2 seams. So I've actually got two seams on the back here rather than the one. So I'll cut that up, and I'm going to cut these pieces off as well because we don't need those pieces. Oh, Alfie's out in the garden barking. And I'll come back, show you how I'm going to glue the other edge to this one. Okay, so I've cut all these edges off, and I'll keep all those because they're handy for tag making. And what I'm left with is, because I had to use a different box, this flap and this flap, which I will overlay onto this piece of cardboard, and then this one overlay on this piece so it mimics this. And I've made a template for this piece, and all I did was get a piece of paper, fold it in half. I put a jar or something round, just to, because it was a square piece of paper, just to draw around, and then with it folded I cut around there so it was even. And so that's a template, and what I'll do is, from that seam I'll cut, this one's a little bit larger, I'll cut this one out, and then I will have to cut some of this off and the measure this so that it's this width. So it'll be 4 1/4, almost 5, 4 1/4, but I'll put the measurements down below. So I've got to cut this piece off, reduce this so it's this size, and then cut this piece off. And then when I've done that, I will stick these pieces together. I'll use a combination of glue and glue stick just to make sure they're firm, and then I'll clip them together just to hold them in place for a little while and to make sure that they're well stuck. And then I'll come back, because you've got to remember that this is going to be the outside, this is going to be the leather looking outside of the wallet. So, and this is going to be covered with fabric. Okay, so I'll go away and do that. I'll cut out the pieces to the measurements and then glue these, and then I'll come back and show you how we get the leather look. Okay, well, as you can see, I've cut the rounded edges on this side, and then I've reduced this and also this edge, and then I've glued the flaps down. Of course, if you get the right size box with that width, or the width you need on the side, you wouldn't have to re-glue this, one of the edges anyway. and we're going to stitch along these anyway, so that will reinforce it. But I've got to let it glue well now. I had to reduce the width as well. I don't think I gave you that measurement. Mine is 9.5, but you can, as I say, you can have it shorter. Now the other side, this is going to have the fabric on. I'm going to use some masking tape just on the seams, just to give it some extra strength there. When I glued this, I allowed a little bit away from where it will bend, so that you don't have any problems when you want to close the wallet. Of course, these things for me don't always go right the first time, so sometimes I make it just a very smaller version of what I want to make, just to try it out. And then you're not wasting lots of, you know, material, and if you make a smaller one and it works out well, that's good too. So I'll just cut these bits off. And if you're like me with these things, I make changes as I go along. Like there, for instance, I cut a bit of the cardboard off though. Right, so I'm just going to allow that to dry a bit more, and then I'll come back and show you how to get the leather look. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm going to try and make this piece of cardboard look a little bit like leather. I've got some newspaper down. When you watch her video, you'll see that she uses a liquid polish. Now I didn't have anything like that. I didn't want to go out and buy anything special. Another lady used distress ink with some PVA glue. I can't remember where I saw that now, but that was a mixture. All I had in my cupboards was some shoe polish, and it's very old shoe polish. It's a cherry blossom. So I thought, well, I'll try it, see how it goes. I'm putting some gloves on. They're rather tatty gloves, but I'm a very messy worker. I didn't want to get it all over me. But I found this shoe polish worked well for me, so I'm going to use it again. Now obviously all these things have fumes and are poisonous to us if ingested, so just be careful with whatever you use, and I'm near a window, so I've got it well ventilated. So I just put a bit on a piece of kitchen towel and rubbed it in. Do a sort of a circular movement. Now I did find, I had a bit of a disaster with one I tried. I used a cereal box, and these cereal boxes, or some boxes, must have a coating to make them a little bit damp proof, waterproof, and it was so shiny inside, the polish or whatever you had to use, it just wouldn't absorb, it just wiped off. So I would, before you go to all this trouble of making up the wallet, I would just check that your cardboard you're using hasn't got a coating on, because I suppose you could then cover it with fabric on both sides if you've gone to that trouble and it didn't work. But now I used 2 coats on mine. Now I am going to cover this up with an image, but it's quite nice to have it all covered. So I'll carry on doing this, and I'll do another coat when it's dried, and then we'll come back and see how it's looking. The final thing when it's completely finished is to put some PVA glue over the top, and then that gives it its shine and it protects it a bit. So we do that at the end. And there'll always be little bits that you can't get to, but that makes it look a bit more natural. It wouldn't look natural if it was absolutely perfect. Right, well, I'll come back when I've finished and show you how we're getting on. Hello again. Right, well, it's had its 2 coats now and it's looking okay. I did leave it overnight. You wouldn't have needed to have left it overnight, but I had other things to get on with, so it bends up quite nicely. So now I've got to choose a piece to go on the front, like this one. With this one I placed the design onto another piece of card before I stitched it down, but I don't think I'm going to do that this time. I'm going to try it without, just to put the design straight on. And I have my template, which I made before, but I have cut it out. I want to show you that I made a mistake. I wanted this design, which is one of the backgrounds on the Etsy store, because I quite like the ladies on there and all the script writing. So I laid it on my template, cut it out, and thought, oh yes, that would be fine. But when I close it, the ladies are now upside down. And although that would be fine, because you know, it would be fine that way, I really wanted it to look, I really wanted it to be that way, so I should have really thought about the placement before I cut it out. So rather than print something else out, I've got the other end of the background, which is this, so I really made sure that I had it the right way up this time. So that will go on there. I'll glue it a little bit before I stitch it, and then I've got to choose some fabric to go on the other side before I do all the stitching. Now I've got 3 that I've chosen. There's either a plain one, which I will stick down before I stitch round the edge, or I have this one which is a bit thick actually, and I think it will hinder the hinges. Oh, I like the fabric, it's a little bit thick for this. And then I have another remnant which I may use. The butterfly on it is rather large, so I'm not sure it'll go well. And then another remnant, which is this piece, but again this one's a little bit thick, but it's rather a nice colour. So I've got to decide on which fabric, and when I've done that I will glue it to the card and then I'll stitch. I usually stitch this way up so I know where I'm going on the outside of the wallet, and I do it in short sections, so I'll stitch around this piece first with the design on, and then I'll stitch down here with a zigzag and another line straight stitching down there, and then again this side. So I'll do it all in segments, and then when I've done all the straight pieces I'll just do stitching around the edge here. And what I usually do is have a brown cotton on the top of the machine, and then I'll choose a colour to match the fabric, just so that stitches don't show up too much if they're if I go a bit wonky. So I'm going to go away and do all that, stick that down, stick this to the fabric, and then do the stitching, and then I'll come back and show you how we complete the decoration. Now you can, what Nick the booksmith does is stitch her tie under here so that it's ready to tie up. With mine I forgot to place it there, so I stitched it up at the end, just on the edge there, so actually it doesn't matter how you do that. So I'll go away and do that little bit, and then I'll come back and show you the finishing touches. Be back soon. Right, here we are back again. I've stitched on the outside, so I used the brown cotton on the top of the sewing machine, and then I chose a light pink to go with this fabric. So I first stitched down each of those lines. I didn't do any zigzags this time, and then I stitched around here, having glued that on previously. I put a little nameplate on there over one of the some of the letters that are on this background, which looks rather nice. I'm going to add another piece on there, maybe that one, we'll see. So while I'm stitching, I glued these down and then included those in the stitch line so that they've just got a little bit more firmness. And then I put a belly band on here. And I've cut off the excess fabric. So what you're left with is sort of a white edging. So at the moment what I'm doing is just going around with my ink, just to ink it up a bit to get rid of that white edge, and then I'll go around and snip these little frayed bits off. I mean, you can leave them, but I prefer to have them clipped off. You don't see the edging on the outside, but you know, it does show on this particular fabric. So that's what I'm going to do, ink up and then tidy up the edges. And then I'm going to add some embellishments. And I've also got to stitch on the tie. Now where is my tie? Here it is. So I've cut another piece of this off. It's off a piece of fabric, it's sort of like a neck curtain. And this time I'm going to stitch it here, so that it's, I'll probably ruffle it up a little bit, and then it'll wrap round as the other one did. But the other one I stitched to the front of the envelope, but I'm just going to try it on the back edge this time. Okay, so I'll go away and do that, finish all the bits off, and then come and show you the finished product. I'm quite pleased with how the leather look has gone, and this background is quite nice on here, so it'll go quite nicely with the botanical journal I'm making. So I'll go away and do those, and then I'll come back. Okay, well, I've decided on this specimen label, and I've mounted it on a little piece of card just to make it a bit more 3D, and pop that on the front. Then I've added a label there. I'm just about to make the little book to go in here. This one. This one I made was long and thin. I'm going to make a slightly wider one this time. So I've got this cracker box, and if I fold it in half that way, it's obviously going to be too big. So I've cut all the flaps off, and I'm just going to cut down the middle here, and then I'm going to, I'll cover this side, I'm going to cover the, in a similar, but one of the pinky backgrounds to go with this. I'll cover it, and then what I'll end up doing is the other way around, but I'll end up joining this. I'll probably make that a little bit, I will make it a lot thinner, probably about 1/4 of an inch, and then it'll fit in there nicely. And then I'll add the papers and a lining to, yes, a lining on the back, and then some washi tape, and decorate the booklet. So that'll fit in there, but this one will be a little bit wider, so just going for a little bit something different. Then I'm going to get some labels to go in here, and some things to go in the belly band, and then we should be nearly there. I'm going to leave this looking a bit softer. I put the PVA glue on this one, and it's given a lovely shine, and it's quite hard. You'll see the difference. This one I'm going to leave a little bit softer, so it's sort of a softer leather look. Okay, right, I'll go away and fiddle about with the booklet to go in it, and get some tags to go in, and then I'll come back and show you the finished wallet. Okay, bye for now. Okay, well, we're finished. I finished this wallet cover, and I've got the flap looking nice there. You could put more pockets on in different areas if you wanted, but I just wanted it to look more like a wallet. And then inside I've put belly band here with a card there, pocket here, some labelling, and then I've made this little book to go inside. I've used washi tape to make it look as though it's got metal corners on there, and then I lined it with a fabric, just stuck it down, having folded the paper over. I just to make it a little bit neater. And then I made some pockets inside in these little pages with some tickets in. Some book pages from my stash. And I think it's turned out rather nice. So that one just goes in there. And then I stitched that on the back there. So those are complete, and no doubt I shall be making a few more of those to go in my journals. But I hope you enjoyed my take on it, and I'll be back again soon with some more makes. Take care everyone. Happy crafting.